Yes, I am an analog astronaut or a non-flight astronaut, as they are sometimes called. You got to make sure things work, but you also have to make sure that people work, right? So a lot of what we do as analog astronauts are just testing psychology and being in extreme environments.
Hi, and welcome back. This week we're looking at how NASA and independent researchers are studying the psychology and performance of astronauts in deep space travel. Dan Novy of the University of Nebraska is taking part in the world's largest analog. It's a simulation of a long-duration mission. It takes 2 weeks and it takes place across multiple continents around the world. They'll simulate time delay and comms and the psychology of being isolated with a group over a long period of time. Okay, I'm gonna do a little sound. Boom. Okay, hi, I'm here with Dan Novy, and he is an analog astronaut, I believe is the best way to describe you, but you're also an assistant professor of emerging media arts. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself? Who are you and where you work and what do you do with your research?
Wow. Yes, I am an analog astronaut or a non-flight astronaut, as they are sometimes called. I will likely never go to space, but fingers crossed, things can happen. And it is our job to test out new methodologies, new ways of doing things before anyone takes millions of dollars to put them into space. You got to make sure things work, but you also have to make sure that people work, right? So a lot of what we do as analog astronauts are just testing psychology and being in extreme environments and seeing how that affects people's abilities to think and make decisions.
This is really interesting because right now down at NASA, they're doing the same performative related studies looking at how microgravity, isolation, and radiation affects performance. So having both NASA and independent researchers studying these effects is going to tell us a lot more about how we pioneer into the solar system, how we're going to survive as a species.
So my name is Sydney Bekarowski. I'm a research psychologist in the Behavioral Health and Performance Lab here at Johnson. And today I'll talk to you about Robot. So Robot is a functional task that we have crew members complete pre and post mission. It's a simulation of the Canada arm on the ISS, and it mocks that capture mechanism, docking mechanism that we have. So the Canada arm exists, and it allows you to perform a grapple fixture mechanism to capture. So in this simulation, we have a vehicle that we call an HTV approaching the Canada arm, and the crew member is in control of the arm and needs to complete a grapple feat.
Gotcha.
Okay. So if you're interested in seeing it, I can put it in motion.
What? Yes, that would be great.
You have 3 visual screens. This is your primary screen. So I'm going to work to capture the vehicle approaching. So I want to align my 4 indicators, which are in green here, with the pin in the center. These 2 other views are different perspectives of where the arm is relative to the vehicle.
And a jello screen.
So as I begin, I'm going to use my left controller, my translational controller, to perform larger movements. So this is your up, down, left, right. I'm moving the arm as always. Your right arm is your rotational controller. So this has your yaw pitch roll or your XYZ plane. So as I approach,
Look on here.
I'm moving forward, I'm working towards aligning. I can see it's a little bit on an angle, so I'm going to roll it a little bit with my translational controller, or my rotational controller, sorry, and then continue using my translational approach.
Now you got people parked.
As I get closer, I'm going to prepare for capture, which includes a presentation.
Flows through.
And hold it down.
Perfuses.
And that completes 1 capture. Thank you. So we have crew members do this pre and post flight. It is a complex behavioral task, so it requires multiple capabilities to complete. So you're talking about sensory motor, visual spatial, cognitive, among others, working together to complete a dual motor task.
Sure. So we want to talk a little bit about the psychology, the psychological aspects of being remote and being removed from humanity here on Earth. Will you be able to call home? Will there be a simulated delay? And how long is the delay from Mars to Earth?
Yes, so minimally it's about 13 minutes. Depends on the orbital mechanics to where Mars is compared to us. It can be 13 minutes, it can be longer, depending on where the planets are and how they're aligned. All of our communication will have to go through ground control, through our mission control. So we will have one point of contact. So if I need to send a message to someone who is essentially out of the sim, it will go up through the chain of command, through mission control, and eventually it could get to them, which is how it would be handled if I were on Mars. We would, send the message, and they would route it to its, proper recipient.
So hold up a second. How does the world's biggest analog actually work?
Yeah, in fact, there's, it's 17 habitats all around the globe, all participating in one combined mission. So there will be other habitats which will be Martian missions. So this is actually the Armash, which is the town that we're just outside of. It is in the mountains of Armenia because it is geologically analogous to Mars. So once we sort of transit or we begin to what we call ingress into the habitat, even as we're kind of coming out of the capital of Armenia and making our way to the site, it's very much like going to Burning Man, right? You're sort of like getting into the mental headspace. You're sort of stripping off your normal life, and you are beginning to enter sort of that liminal time and space where you understand that the rules are different. You are entering what they call the magic circle, which game designers, when you play basketball, if you're outside the basketball court, you can carry the ball. When you're inside the court, you have to dribble, right? The rules are different.
The analog astronauts are in complete isolation, and they have a regiment of duties. Dan is the comms officer. And along with that, they're going to do the regular WinSCAT testing. This is the same test that they do aboard the ISS.
And analogs are really great for is like you can't, real flight astronauts are extreme. Their time is expensive, right? So you don't want to be, testing things on with them that you could be testing on an analog astronaut like myself and getting just as valid feedback, just as valid sort of. And so we will be taking batteries of all kinds of psychological and emotional tests. It sounds so exciting to be an astronaut when what you're doing is filling in forms, right, daily on how you slept and how you ate and what you're feeling right now. So there is actually an entire group. There's an array of IRB tests from major universities that we'll be taking the entire time that we're in there, sometimes on a daily, so pre-flight, during the mission, and post-flight. And it really is all about, how we react.
One of the things that Dan touches on is performance-related activities that they're going to do while in the simulation, and we're going to learn a little bit more about that when he returns in an interview. We're going to put that in our film, and we're going to compare it to what they do at NASA. This is me getting up out of a spacecraft while landing on Mars all by myself.
This is our mock capsule egress simulator. This is a capsule agnostic mock-up of what it might be like to egress a capsule on your own. So nominally, when the crew splash down, our landing recovery team is there to help them out of the capsule and onto the recovery ship. In an off-nominal landing scenario, they might be expected to egress the capsule on their own. So that is what this task is designed to replicate. It's not indicative of the Orion capsule or a SpaceX capsule. It's just a combination of tasks that are challenging, especially post-flight. A lot of postural changes.
Okay.
It's kind of mean, but we're kind of playing into the sensory motor deprivation that happens. All right?
Good.
All right, ready, begin. So you stand, being mindful that you would have walls and hardware. It's card space.
So I can't get my head past this plane?
You can. Yeah. We have no walls for safety. And then you just let it. From here, you'll attach each carabiner to the base here, to the top pole. Perfect. And then without standing on the base, push down on this rung and pull each side as tight as you can. This base becomes your first step, so it's going to raise up.
Aha.
The tighter you get it, the easier it is to climb the ladder.
Gotcha. And I already messed this up.
It's okay if it twists. That happens in real life too.
That happens every time I go to
Yep.
Home Depot. So,
So there you go.
All right.
From here, you'll retrieve your safety pack. This is just a one shoulder on your left shoulder. And then you're gonna climb the ladder, stopping right here. So this is your no-go zone. So feet stop here. Once
not
you-
step on this?
Yes, that's your first step. One more. And now you deploy the pack out of the hatch, so you hand me the bag.
Oh.
So this is pushing the pack out of the top of the lander.
Ah.
That splash.
Oh, okay.
Yep. Splashes down outside, and now you come back down the ladder. In a real lander, you would go up and out of the hatch and splash down into the water. Here, you just come down the ladder. You then retrieve your safety pack and just walk 25 feet away and come back to their weight, their safety.
Very calisthenic and there's a word, problem solving.
Yep.
What do you expect to learn, and how do you think it'll change you when you get back?
I expect to learn that I'm better at this than I thought I was.